Meanwhile, President Jacob Zuma has called for restraint during public protests. He's also extended his sympathy to the families of those who've died during demonstrations. Let's find out more now from Presidential Spokesperson Maharaj, who joins us from our studios in Durban. Mr. Maharaj, afternoon to you, and thank you so much for chatting to us. So the President expressing concern and calling for restraint both from police and the public. Why does the President think that we're seeing an increase in these protests and they're becoming increasingly violent?
Yes, indeed. It is the increasing violent nature of the protests that is a serious concern for the President. And every death, Nikiwa, that is unnatural is a painful thing for government. It is an issue, however, that needs to be addressed by three elements. One is the government itself, two is the public, and three is the police service. Without those three elements addressing this issue consistently, we will not get on top of it. With regards to the public, I think it is necessary, and the President has emphasized the constitutional right to protest, but he makes the point that there is no need to carry weapons, there is no need to burn public buildings, there is no need to endanger people's lives to pursue any particular complaint that you have.
But why does
and that we need to respect that.
Why does the President think that we're seeing this?
There are a huge number of elements to this, and you will have all sorts of sociologists commenting on it, Nikiwa. What I can say at this stage is quite simply there is an element also of success. Let me give you an example. In 1994-95, when we came into a democracy, we did a study and 60% of the households had access to water. Today, in 2011, 2012, 95% of the households have water. Now, there are two problems. Those 95 who have got it, we need to ensure that each local municipality and authority provides for the maintenance and renewal of those assets. Secondly, on the part of the authorities, we have to realize, and the public, that it is 5% that has no access to water. So we've had a phenomenal success, but with it goes the expectation that those who don't have it want it here and now. So I think there are both sides. We need to understand that problem. We need to all act with responsibility to ensure that 100% have access to water, that the water is reliably supplied to them, that maintenance problems are addressed, and that asset renewal of those pumps, etc., are done timeously.
And
so there's the problem.
And why hasn't that been happening? Why does it have to take for people to be killed on the streets for government to make that recognition and deliver?
Nikiwa, in 20 years to have raised and supplied 95% of the households with water is a phenomenal achievement. To expect that 100% would have been achieved in the 20 years may be legitimate on your side, but it is not realistic. I can say the same thing about sanitation, and I can say it about electricity. To then say why not the rest have got it is to say South Africa came to inherit a democratic society which was well functioning. No, it was a dysfunctional society, it was a corrupt state, and it was a bankrupt economy. That is the context in which we've made these successes.
Sure. So the President also in his statement calling on the police specifically to exercise restraint. What action is going to be taken by the presidency in conjunction with the police ministry to ensure that our police know how to deal with these protests?
Indeed, that is a matter of serious concern. There are bad eggs in the police. We have to ensure that the police are continuously acting in a way that they are friends of the people, protectors of the people. We have to ensure that their training is ongoing all the time, and we have to ensure that they are equipped to deal with matters without having to resort to lethal force. That's an element that's ongoing, but in regard to the bad eggs that are there, we have mechanisms in place which are already beginning to function pretty successfully. We have the independent police inspector directorate. It has begun to function in the first year. It already attended to 58% of the cases. And if you look at its report for the first year, it shows there that it has had 57 criminal cases, convictions, against the police. It has 84 disciplinary convictions. It has made 1,040 disciplinary recommendations to SAPS and 1,080 recommendations to the Director of Public Prosecutions. And at that year, 538 cases were before the court. So we need to pursue those things to make sure that the police is efficient, does its job, is a friend of the people, and to make sure that the bad eggs are taken out of the system.
All right, we'll be watching that closely. On our final note, Mr. Maharaj, on a completely different matter, the final will of Mr. Mandela being read out today. Of course, we know that you're an old friend and a long-serving member of the ANC. Mr. Mandela leaving some money to the ANC. Your response to that, please?
I am extremely touched by the will. This is the Mandela we have all got to know. A man who was driven by a high sense of caring. I am touched by the fact that he has assigned the Houghton home to be taken care of and kept as the family home to keep the family together so that they can always have reunions. I am touched by how he has cared for every member of the family, but he has cared for even those who served him and were not members of the family. I am touched by his approach towards and commitment to education as the empowering instrument of our people, and I am deeply touched by his reaffirmation of his commitment to the ANC.
Thank you.
I think that we must also recognize him as a world icon, a property of all the nation, but we must recognize him for what he says of himself. So I think here is a very touching will which showed him giving so much thought to all around him with a sense of caring and appealing to us. Let us all act in that way to build a caring society.
Thank you so much for your time. That was Presidential Spokesperson Maharaj talking to us from Durban.
Know more about your world.
eNCA.com